A classic intro for a classic podcast.
That's right. This is Okanagan Legends and Hauntings, your podcast for all things spooky and unexplainable in the region. And today is our finale episode, our season finale.
Finale! Unless you're watching this one first, then you're actually incorrect. Please go back to episode number 1 and watch throughout because we reference things throughout the podcast.
Yeah, you just
won't
get it. You had to
really,
be there. You won't get it if you weren't. So just go back.
You have to see us talk about, if dinosaurs still exist and sturgeon and boats.
Yeah. Because that all brought us here today to our final episode where Georgia is going to teach me something.
Yes. And this episode is a little bit unique because at the end of it, Steph and I are going to be discussing our collective experience at Hat Creek Ranch because we did... Oh, no. I'll get to that.
Yeah, we should say this is a bit of a different episode because most episodes, we each take a turn learning about an individual subject or location and then teach the other person about it. Yeah. But this place was just too cool and I wanted to go. So we both went together to today's location, which is historic Hat Creek Ranch.
And it also sort of happened in the way that you could stay there, like overnight. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did. Mm-hmm. And I'll get more into that because I just absolutely love this place. But for now, we're going to dive into some of the history. And then we'll dive into some of the hauntings. What?
Sorry. To be clear, even though I attended historic Hat Creek Ranch, I did try to go la about a bunch of the history. So Georgia is still teaching me something today, but I have been there. I do have a little bit of knowledge of what it's about. And I did have some experiences. But like Georgia said, we'll get into that later.
Shall I tell you some history?
Yes, you shall.
Okay. As with every single episode, we have a little packet. And we're going to begin. And I am going to be reading from my thing predominantly because I don't want to mess anything up or say something that is not true.
We won't judge you.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, early history, pre-colonial era. The land around Hat Creek and the Bonaparte River was part of the traditional territory of the Shuswap Nation for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence shows prehistoric use of the area before European settlement, as with most spots in Canada that are now populated. The ranch sits at the junction of the Hat Creek and the Bonaparte River, and that includes part of the original Caribou Wagon Road, which we'll sort of get into a little bit later, as it was a major transportation route during the 19th century. Here's sort of a more in-depth overview first of the indigenous history connected to this land, which was near Cache Creek, BC.
Got it. Which I think we should touch on. Again, is kind of the pushing the limits of the Okanagan region. This is in the Thompson Okanagan region.
And we did ask and we did get permission.
So we're doing our podcast episode on it regardless.
Yes.
So deal with it.
So thank you. Let's start with the Shuswap people of the territory. And I'm going to do my very darndest to try pronounce these names properly. I did find pronunciation guides, but I am bad. And I'm sorry if I say this wrong. Thank you for your understanding if I suck. So historic Hat Creek sits within the traditional unceded territory of the Secwepemc people. And so I might just say Shuswap, but I am talking about the Secwepemc people.
Okay.
I'm I'm really sorry if I messed that up. I tried my hardest to sort of write it out the way that I heard. And it is the Shuswap Nation, but specifically the Bonaparte, which is the Sluktos,
Okay.
Whose land included the Bonaparte River, Cache Creek, Lower Hat Creek, and the surrounding area. So, who are the Shuswap? The Shuswap are an interior Salish-speaking nation whose territory historically covered a vast region of what is now south-central British Columbia. They lived a partially settled and seasonal lifestyle based on hunting, fishing, gathering, and trade, and they adapted their movements across all the seasons to harvest food like salmon, game, so like elk and deer, roots, berries, and plants. So they would sort of settle in an area for the summer, and then as the seasons changed, they would move their tribe or their settlement to a different part so they could harvest different things.
A rounded diet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Traditional dwellings include a summer mat lodge, a winter pit house called a kukuli, and their cultural knowledge was passed on through oral history, ceremonies, and land stewardship practices. So that was the Shuswap. And then the Bonaparte First Nations, Sluktos. Hopefully I said that pretty decently. If not, I'm sorry. The Bonaparte First Nations means people of the valley. So, I mean, Okanagan is basically made up of valleys. So, especially in Hat Creek, there's quite a few deep, cavernous parts.
Yes.
And they are the local Secwepemc band traditionally connected to the Hat Creek and Bonaparte River valleys.
Got it.
Their main reserve lies between Cache Creek and the historic ranch area, and they continue cultural governance and revitalization today. Now we're going to sort of dive into the role that Indigenous people had at Hat Creek. So at historic Hat Creek, there's an Indigenous interpretive site that we actually had the privilege of going to, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And it was developed by the Bonaparte people, which provides reconstructed traditional shelters, the Kukuli pit, and we did see a summer mat house. Or even just, we saw one of their hunting shelters, where it's primarily just like sticks, which was interesting.
There were so many interesting things to see there.
Yeah.
And just understanding how using everything from the land and
everything from the...
And then ingenuity just to make it all work.
Yeah.
So amazing.
It was really interesting. So we saw, traditional shelters. The Kukuli pit house was really cool. Hunting and fishing gear, cook pits, and cultural displays showing pre-contact Indigenous life. So when you go there, the Indigenous site is really cool. You get to take a little sort of horse carriage ride over, which was neat. And they have a teepee, they have a hide on display that they sort of explain how they, process the hides, where they use literally every part of the animal, like they use the brains to tan the hide, which was really cool. And then, we saw, a smoker that was built out of sticks, and the lady who kind of took us on the tour there also showed us these pits that they would dig and put their meat and stuff in, and that would be for the winter storage.
Yeah, that really stuck with me.
I was so intrigued.
Wow, I just love how people can figure this stuff out to be able to store food underground. I don't know. I thought it was so neat.
And they still do it to this day in some parts, and it was super interesting. And the Kukuli Lodge was even cooler. They basically make a teepee with big logs, and then they throw mud on top and basically make this big mound. And inside there's a a fire pit in the center, and then like sort of beds or raised areas off the ground for you to sleep on. And you would actually get inside by going down a ladder up the top of the hill, which was really cool. I liked it a lot.
Just the structure itself was so interesting to see. It must have been such a task.
Yeah.
It was such a task.
To build.
Yeah. That's so great to see.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
Very fascinating. So highly recommend that you go check that out when you go visit Historic Hat Creek Ranch, because you should.
Yeah, not if you go, when you go.
Okay, so I wanted to cover that part first, just because obviously that's where the history of the land started. So now we're going to talk about the origins in the Caribou Gold Rush, which was the 1860s. So Donald McLean, I've heard it said different ways, but I'm going to say McLean.
However it rolls off the tongue.
In the 1860s, Donald McLean, a retired Hudson's Bay Company fur trader, established what became the Hat Creek House to serve travelers heading to the Caribou Goldfields. McLean selected the location because of its excellent pasture and access to water. These were super important for ranching and supporting wagon teams / stagecoaches that would inevitably come through. The stopping house soon expanded to a 2-story roadhouse to accommodate miners, stagecoach passengers, and freight wagons on the Caribou Wagon Road. So, freight wagons was a new thing for me while I was researching. It was essentially like if you picture a train, because that's what a freight is.
Right.
It's a massive container for stuff, and then it's pulled by horses. And that was just for supplies, so no passengers other than the man who was helping the horses along the road.
And that would be the freight wagon rather than the stagecoach, which
Correct.
does have passengers.
Yes, the stagecoach, which would have been passengers, and then the freight would have just been supplies.
Got it.
So the Caribou Wagon Road. This was a very sketchy road.
Was it now?
Well, if you think back then, they didn't really have much to create a road, so it was like a dirt path through the mountains. So the Caribou Wagon Road was built in the 1860s to link southern BC with the goldfields. Hat Creek Ranch became an important stop because it lay directly on this busy route, with stagecoaches and freight lines such as the BC Express Company using the site. The BX was used as sort of like an organizer back then for all of the supplies, routes, and like the mailing. So like if you ever had mail to send home or to the mine, you would use the BX, which is the BC Express Company.
Yeah. Sounded like quite the coordination effort.
Yeah, it was. And like there were a lot of miners that came up because of the boom. Yeah, very, very cool stuff.
It sounded like the wagon road was a boppin' at one point.
For sure. It was very busy. So, ranching and commercial development in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So, after McLean's death in 1864, we're going to kind of gloss over this because coming up, there's going to be a video presentation of people at Hat Creek who go sort of more in depth into the history. But basically, for right now, all you need to know is McLean got shot in the back.
Oh.
Yeah.
On purpose?
Well, yeah. So Hudson's Bay Company sent Don McLean to stop the Chilcotin Wars.
Okay.
So because
by himself?
Yeah. So because Don McLean had 3 Indigenous wives leading up to the Chilcotin Wars, he knew the dialects. So they thought, oh, we know this guy. We think he'll be the best man to sort of stop this. And he did, but just in the worst way possible. And as he rose over the hill, he got shot, died, and then the Chilcotin Wars were over.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we'll hear more about that in...
What a story.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So after McLean died...
Sorry, what year?
In 1864.
Okay. Gold Rush time.
Yes.
Okay.
George Dunn took over in 1866, and he added buildings such as the barn, corrals, and expanded land holdings. Due to financial issues, though, Dunn ultimately lost the property to Jerome Harper, and then to William Billy Cargill, who focused more on ranching. Steve Tingley, associated with the BX stage line, he bought the ranch in 1894, and then he built additional facilities, including a large barn for all of the BC Express horses. And then around 1909 to 1910, Charles Godfrey Doring acquired Hat Creek Ranch, and he expanded its agricultural operations.
It changed hands so many times.
Like a lot.
In a really short period of time.
Yeah. And under his ownership, the ranch thrived with extensive hay fields and cattle operations. So he sort of took it from roadhouse to cattle farm.
Right. He put the ranch in historic Hat Creek Ranch.
Correct. Yes, he
Got
did.
it. That's our guy.
Throughout this period, the Hat Creek Ranch was both an important transportation hub on the wagon road and a prosperous agricultural enterprise. So that's sort of the backstory and the history.
Okay, so lots of people wheeling and dealing, trying to make a business here at this roadhouse and surrounding land.
Yeah, exactly. With the decline of wagon traffic and the rise of railway and automobile transport, the ranch eventually transitioned away from being a roadhouse. The property was recognized for its heritage value, and by the late 20th century, efforts were underway to preserve it as a historical site. The site includes 20-plus historic buildings dating from 1861 into the early 1900s. The original Caribou Wagon Road.
Yes.
Which is really cool. It's literally right outside the roadhouse, is part of the road.
Am I remembering that is the last remaining part of the Caribou Wagon Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool to stand there and think, this is all that remains.
Yeah, it's really crazy. So before we talk about present-day operations of Hat Creek today, we are going to hear from Rob and Jordan.
Yeah.
These two fantastic people took us under their wing, showed us literally every single part of the roadhouse that they could, told us all about the history, and obviously we dived into some haunted things, but for right now we're going to talk about all the history. So please, Rob and Jordan, take it away.
I'll take a page out of George's book. Roll that clip.
My name is Rob, and I'm the lead interpreter here at the Roadhouse for historic facts, and I'm also a translator for Dutch-speaking people.
So I'm Jordan Williams. I work for the our historic Hat Creek Ranch. I've been working here for about 4 years now, switching between the kitchen and between the roadhouse.
This place was, the land that the ranch is on now was a gift to Donald McLean for his years of service to the Hudson's Bay Company. And he was going to build a restaurant here. And he built, it took him 4 years, but he built a one-story log cabin with a dirt floor. And you slept in the dirt for $1 a night, which apparently is about $200 a night now. No Michelin stars or anything, just in the dirt. And if you wanted food, it was extra. And your horse taken care of was extra. So it wasn't the guys that were panning for gold that were staying here, that were stopping here. It was people with more money. But the gold rush itself started in 1857. There was a smaller one down in the Fraser, but it didn't really yield very much. So guys started panning their way up towards Barkerville and Keithley Creek. And they were literally plucking nuggets out of the creek on the way up. It was so plentiful. A man and his wife found a 72-ounce nugget. It's the size of your head. Just huge amounts of gold. Yeah, so that Don, unfortunately, he didn't get to finish his restaurant. He was called to stop the Chilcotin Wars when they broke out. The Chilcotin decided they wanted a chunk of some of the trade that was going through. And the Hudson's Bay Company, because of Donald's, he had 3 native wives altogether, not at the same time, but in a row. And because of his knowledge of the dialects, they sent him to stop the Chilcotin War, which I don't know if I mentioned before, he did. He stopped one bullet of it with his back, and that was it. He was shot the second he got up there. And Sophia got nothing for all of this because she was a woman and she was First Nations. Subsequent owners, one of the owners gave Sophia $5,000 because he knew the family and he felt sorry for her. But it was just a succession of owners, different owners after that. She unfortunately got shafted on it, as did his sons, all of the boys.
Well, the history of Hat Creek here spans all the way back into the 1860s. We have Don McLean, who founded this place. He was given gold by the native people, and he took that gold with him down to San Francisco, and they learned that there's gold up here. And so the population of British Columbia, then known as New Caledonia, went from 1,200 people to about 300,000 in the span of a few years.
The stagecoaches started running, and the guy that started the stagecoach, his first job was taking the newspapers and the mail up to Barkerville from Fort Yale. And there was no trail at the time, and he didn't have a horse, and he had to walk. So he walked, it was 3 months each way. And then he finally got enough to buy a horse, and then a couple more, and he ended up with probably the biggest stagecoach company in Western Canada, if not all of Canada, I don't know. But there was 100 roadhouses between Fort Yale and Barkerville, because you know why they're called stagecoaches? Because they can only go in stages. They only go 10 or 15 kilometers a day, or at a time with the horses, and it took 200 horses altogether to get up there. So there was 100 roadhouses to swap out. That's why we have all these wacky names. It's not that we're unimaginative, because we are unimaginative, but the 103 mile, and that's the actual mile markers.
And the best way to think about the roadhouse, because a lot of people have difficulty imagining it, is to think about it like an old-time bus station. Think of it like a Greyhound when you're walking through, and you just see other people hopping off, and they're waiting for the next bus to get to Clinton. To my knowledge, everything here is original, actually. The roadhouse that we're in right now, it was restored. By that I just mean like they rehammered all the nails, they repainted a few things around there. You got the McLean cabin right out back, and then you have the summer kitchen, the mower shed, the ice house, and the granary. All of those buildings are original.
Well, here, that first room we were in, the parlor there, that's where the women and children would have spent their evenings drinking tea and coffee and playing board games and stuff, because they weren't allowed in the saloon. And the saloon was where the men played more fun games and drank more fun drinks and had more fun in general.
You would have been offered food, drink, and a place to stay. And yeah, you'd be serviced by a person at the front there. In the front room, he'd take you in, and he'd get you registered in to stay or to spend the night here. After which he'll help you pack your bags in if needed. Especially since you're coming in off the stagecoach. The stagecoach, they'll either have freight wagons, or your luggage will be above your stagecoach. And then you'll have people up on the balcony. They'll have little hooks that they use to reach over, and then they lift it up, and then they bring it to your room. Oh yes, the general store.
Yeah.
That was added in 1927, one of the final additions to the place. Added in by, I believe, Charles Godfrey Deering. He also added in the men's washroom too at the same time.
When it was a ranch, when it was a private ranch, there was 15,000 head of cattle here. It was big. It was a big farm.
They were very self-sustaining here. They had 3,000 cattle on site here, and then they also grew their own grain and wheat and all that. And then they also had livestock from chickens, rabbits, turkeys, what have you, pigs. They'd have all these types of animals on site, and they had their own apple orchard out back. That meant that they could make their own apple pie. They could make their own ice cream and stuff on site here, and this allowed Basil Jackson at the time to cut out the middleman in the 1940s and became BC's first millionaire, actually.
Pretty much I'm a city boy. I came up here from this, so pretty much everything that I learned up here surprised me. But things like the length of time that it took to get a stagecoach from Yale to Barkerville, and the money, I couldn't believe the money involved, because the stagecoach was 5 to 7 days, and you're looking about 12 hours a day on the coach, and it was $130 a person, which is about $2,600 now. So who was taking the stagecoach? It wasn't Gold. They might have been taking it on the way back down, but not on the way up. It was doctors, lawyers, people that owned roadhouses like this.
It was really nice to learn, because I'm First Nations myself. I'm of the Shuswap Nation, and it was really nice to hear about Basil Jackson. He's the final owner of the place, and it was incredibly uplifting to know that 98% of his workforce were First Nations people. One of them is my uncle, in fact. Yeah, I spoke with the natives that are the First Nations that live down the road. The elders, they found out I was working here, and they told me without Basil Jackson there was no Bonaparte Indian Band. And he meant every word of that, because he would single-handedly employ everyone in the area. It didn't matter if they were from Ashcroft, or if they were from Clinton, or if they were up closer to Lillooet and Marble Canyon. And I heard tales that if they ever needed a ride, Basil would go out to personally pick them up himself. And not a lot of people put this together, but Basil is the stepson of Charles Godfrey Deering, and that meant that this place was privately owned and, in a way, family operated during both World War I and World War II.
Well, after they sold everything off in here, they auctioned off the whole content, which is all original in here, some of it very expensive. They were going to knock it down, and I guess the Heritage Foundation, this is now owned by the Heritage branch of the Forestry Department. And I guess they found out about this plan to knock it down, and they said, no. And they checked it out, and it's a heritage house. You can't knock it down. You can't get rid of it. And they found a list of everybody that had attended the auction where everything had been sold, and asked them, can we buy our stuff back? And everyone said no, and they all gave it back. And when you see some of the stuff, that service, the dinner service from England, it was a wedding gift, came here in 1862. It's worth, I would be hard pressed to guess how much it's worth. More than we are, that's for sure. It's worth a fortune.
Yeah.
And that was given back. So somebody bought that for a lot of money, except for the stove. The guy that got the stove out of the kitchen, he wouldn't sell it back to us. And you still can't get it. So the one that's in there now is it's accurate. It's 1903. So it's still appropriate for the era, but it's not the same one. There was 18 rooms upstairs. You can't cook that much food in a little tiny thing like that. So.
All right, welcome back. Thank you, Rob and Jordan, for telling us all about historic Hat Creek Ranch.
Such knowledgeable folks.
Knowledgeable folks. For present day, today the site is a heritage attraction with guided tours, period interpretive activities, and demonstrations of the 19th century life. Visitors to the ranch can see and experience the original Hat Creek Roadhouse, built in 1961 and expanded in subsequent decades. Over 20 historic buildings from the gold rush and ranching periods, sections of the original Caribou Road preserved on site, a blacksmith shop, barns, an orchard, and equipment reflecting the ranch life. And as we talked about already, there is an Indigenous interpretive site to talk about the people who have been there. They have a restaurant with fantastic food, even better servers, and I forget her name, but our server there saw us every single day. Most lovely woman ever. If you are watching this, thank you for making our time there so special.
Everyone at Hat Creek was great. It was such a good experience. Highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah. Also, circle back to accommodations. They are awesome. There is, regular RV sites, regular camping spots. There is minor shacks that are very, rustic.
Yeah. Like no running water.
No running water, no power, no heat. And then you have cabins. which come with a bathroom, running water, AC, heat. Mm-hmm. And then it was a bit cold when we went. Yeah, guys, they have a wagon. You can stay in a wagon, like a covered wagon.
An old style covered wagon. That would have been so fun to try.
Yeah, I would love to go back and stay in the wagon because that was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you can't tell, we loved our time at this place.
Yeah, absolutely loved our time. I even have written down, I have a massive soft spot for this place.
That's in the script.
Yeah, I can't really explain it, but I think something to do with how passionate all the people were there, how I need you guys to understand how insane it is that the Roadhouse is original from the 1860s.
We don't have many buildings in Canada, or at least in the interior region, to my knowledge, that are that old and that well preserved.
Yeah, and as you can tell from what Rob said in the video, everything inside is original. Literally every single piece of paper, every utensil, every chair, every bed is original to the Roadhouse. And we just get to go walk through there today.
Very cool. Another highlight for me at the ranch was an older house out behind the Roadhouse where one of the families originally lived. And you can't really fathom fitting as many kids in there as they did. But it's just cool to see how far we've come.
So now we've talked about the history. We're going to talk about the haunts.
Yay! My favorite part.
We have another clip from Rob and Jordan discussing their... Well, Rob did his top 3 ghost stories, and Jordan did his very first ghost story that ever happened to him there, which happened when he was like 6 years old.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, so fun thing about Jordan is his family's been working at the ranch for years, so...
Amazing.
I can't wait for you guys to hear all about it.
And to roll that clip.
Well, of my top 3, the first night I was ever here, I was locked in by myself for the night. One of the managers saw me looking in the window and said, "Do you want to spend the night in there?" And I said, "Well, yes, I do." And yeah, like that. But before that, I didn't really believe in. I can't say I didn't believe in ghosts. I did believe in residual energy. Because if you go into a prison or a torture chamber or anything like that, you can feel it. You can. There's no questioning. You could feel the energy, and that's what I always figured. I didn't think there was individual personalities. But when I was in here by myself, I was upstairs leaning in the little girl's room, and I felt a little hand grab my wrist, icy cold, really, really cold, and a voice, not in my head but outside, said, "Please don't tell them I'm here." And I thought, what an odd thing to say. And I did a little checking into it, and I found out from an elder that apparently they brought in exorcists a couple of times to try and exorcise her spirit. And I guess it was uncomfortable for her. But up until that exact moment, I didn't believe that ghosts were individuals. I thought it was just a general energy thing. Yeah, so after spending the night here and then subsequent nights, I have had to change what I believe, or what I believe is possible.
Right.
I'm not going to say I believe in ghosts. There's things here that I don't know are ghosts. I don't know how to explain them. A native lady and her daughter came through here. They're mediums. Okay. And they experienced a large dark object coming out of that room upstairs, the access to the attic. And they hollered for Heidi to come and get me to see what it was. And I said, people just see this amorphous blob, this big thing, and I can't count the amount of people that have seen it. Yeah. But she said, I said, I don't think. She says, who is it? Who is that? And I said, I don't think that ever was that one. I don't think it ever was one person. I think it's an amalgamation of different energies and stuff. And she said that's what she felt was it was just a ball of negativity. Can I give you a couple of little ones instead?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Standing outside a couple of weeks ago, and a woman in a long hoop skirt leaned out the door and looked at us, and then went back in again. And there's nobody there.
Yeah.
But she was solid. She didn't look like smoky or anything. It was solid and then gone. And when I open up in the mornings, more mornings than not, I'll have somebody following me upstairs. I can hear the footsteps, and when you stop, they stop. And, when I was setting up in here a couple of years ago, there's a little a figurine in one of the rooms up there, and it's a bell. It's a little doll with a bell, but you have to pick it up because if it's sitting down, the clapper is on it doesn't ring. And I was in the next room over, and I heard it go ting-a-ling. Okay, somebody's here. And I went and looked. No, nobody in the room. And it happened 3 or 4 times in an hour. This bell just kept tinkling, and every time I shot over to that room, it was just sitting there. Yeah.
And there was a teapot upstairs that had moved.
Just today. Yeah, that was laying on the floor, and the teacup was knocked over, and some of the picture of the postcard of the Chinese family was knocked over, and there's no wind in that room. The window doesn't open, and there's no wind coming from downstairs because we have a door across the bottom now because we have the stairs blocked off. So I don't know. And the teapot is it's that really super thin. You can almost see through it, the translucent, and it hit the floor and it's fine. It didn't break or anything. I don't know. I'm still in the I'm not 100% sure, but I don't want to say yes or no either way on anything because everything's possible.
Yeah.
Everything is possible now, I think.
My brother is working in maintenance, and he's going to be one of the first ones that thought, like, I'm going to give this tour stuff a shot and see how well I do at it.
Yeah.
And so he wants me and my mom and my younger brothers to be his first his guinea pigs, because he wants to know, like, hey, can I do this? Am I good at it?
Right.
And so I'll also preface this that the carnival was in town. It was October, and they were doing a haunted house thing for Halloween. And so my mom worded this very poorly because she got off the phone and she looked at me and she's like, hey, who wants to go see a haunted house? And for me, I thought that was code for going to the carnival. I was like, because I saw the posters all around town, and I was just like, I want to go.
Yeah.
We get here. I'm thinking, because when you're like 6 years old, your big brother's the coolest guy in the world. And so I'm like, oh my God, we're going to stop and pick him up. We're walking around, and he's showing us the place. He's giving us the tour. I'm growing more impatient because I was told haunted house. I thought carnival. My mom said, no, we're stopping here. They had to cash their checks and stuff tomorrow, so tomorrow was the carnival.
Right.
But little 6-year-old me did not understand that, and I'm growing more petulant. That at the end of it, my brother who was giving the tour, he was getting so fed up with it that he's just like, all right, do you really want to see a ghost? And I was like, yeah. So he takes me over to the stairwell that we walked up, and he's like, go upstairs and you'll see your ghost. I walk up the stairs as he asks. I turn around and I'm like, see, there's no ghosts here. And he tells me, like, okay, walk down to the end hallway there and you'll see your ghost. He was just trying to scare me. Yeah. He had no intentions of what actually happened because he had no idea. Yeah. He was told it was haunted. I'm walking down, and it's kind of a day like today. It's clear skies out. But when I start walking down, it starts getting darker inside the building, and I can't see any of the windows outside. So I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's getting darker inside here. I don't recall seeing any clouds outside at that point. But I keep walking, and then I can hear my brother going outside. And I'm like, oh no, I'm inside the building all by myself. And I keep walking until I get down to the edge of to the windowsill. And I'm opening up the window, and I can see to the apple orchard out back over there. And I can see my family there. They're gonna go grab some apples and stuff. The little 6-year-old me, I'm not gonna do any damage to the windows, so I'm just like smacking on the window there. And I'm like, wait for me! And I spin around, and I look down the other end of the hallway, and there's somebody standing there. I know my brother, even at 6 years old, I know he liked to scare me. He liked to play pranks and stuff on me. So for a second there, I thought it was him. I go, that's not a very scary guy. And he doesn't say anything. And I'm like, okay. I start naming off my cousins. And then I'm walking closer, and I kind of like notice the temperature is rapidly dropping inside the building. That it's now dark outside. Inside there, I can start seeing my own breath in the air, like classic running into a ghost type thing here. I'm walking closer and closer because you know the layout of the building upstairs. You have to walk back towards the middle of the house to get to the stairs, and that means I have to walk towards the ghost, and the ghost is the Chinese cook. He was standing there, not saying anything to me. I noticed then at the very end, like, this is a ghost, because I noticed he was floating towards me without moving, because I had moved back towards the middle of the building, and he was at the very other end of the building, and somehow he had moved all this way, and that he was right at the stairwell with me. I looked down those stairs, and I said, I could run down those stairs, but he could easily reach over those rails and grab me.
Yeah.
So we have another set of stairs in the back there, right by his room. And at that point, I had no idea it was his room right next to it. But I ran down those stairs, and we didn't have those parted off yet. And I run outside. I see my mom and my brothers. They're all standing there, and my brothers like, so did you see your ghost? And I just grab my mom's like wrap around it. I start bawling my eyes out, and the first thing she does is she blames my older brother, thinking like he scared me, and she smacks his arm. What'd you do? And he's like, I didn't do nothing. And she's like, and I was like, I saw a man upstairs. And she's like, you go upstairs right now, because she thought it was like a child abductor or anything, something first. Like her mind was very practical at first. Yeah. And then guy goes upstairs and he doesn't see anything. I kind of told him like what he looked like, and they both looked at each other and they're like, oh, they know who I ran into. I ran into the Chinese cook. And that's possibly that's like my first ever encounter with a ghost was here.
We're back.
We're back. We're back. Thank you again, Rob and Jordan.
I just love hearing these stories. That was a lot.
It is a lot, and it's very cool. Mm-hmm. So Rob sort of talked about the teapot. Mm-hmm. When we first got there, and we went upstairs in the roadhouse, Jordan called out to Rob that a teacup had fallen. Or actually, I think Rob was in the room and called out to Jordan, opposite way around, that a teacup in the Chinese cook's old room had fallen. Mm-hmm. We were there, present at that time. Mm-hmm. We didn't hear it, but it's sort of that super thin glass material that should have shattered, but it was perfectly fine and just found on the floor. Mm-hmm. Very strange.
Yeah.
And like first introduction for us to the roadhouse.
Mm-hmm. To have like just something kind of strange and unexplained happen as soon as we got there, we knew we were in for a bit of a ride.
Yeah, we sure did. Rob and Jordan have like a multitude of stories, so I have sort of cut down some of it and I've put it into this packet.
Great.
So we're going to talk about that, and then
Let's hear more.
We're going to get into a secret discussion. Okay. Of the stories not shared from Rob one day was sort of, doing his thing upstairs. Upstairs there's these rooms, and they're sort of guarded off. So only the people who work there have the keys to go inside of the rooms.
Like there was a gate in front of it.
Yeah, there's a barrier.
Like most museums, to block people from going into the exhibits.
So I need you to keep that in mind, and I need you to not forget that piece of information. Not for this story necessarily, but for a story down the line. So, but for the story, Rob went into the Chinese cook's room, and he has a pair of socks from the era that lay on his bed. And the socks were not there. And he said, what the heck? Where are these socks? So he sort of went in and out a couple of rooms, looked under the bed. There are mice who live there. So he was like, okay, maybe a mouse sort of took off with it. No. You know where he found them?
Where?
in the chest at the foot of the bed, folded in the bottom of the chest.
Okay, that's weird.
That's super weird, and no one would have done that because that's not, like, their process for, like, closing for the night or opening for the morning.
And I would imagine that that's just like an artifact that they have on display so people can see
Correct, yeah.
it. Oh, that's weird to just have it folded. A rat doesn't fold.
A rat doesn't fold, and a rat can't open a chest.
That's weird.
So super strange. And yeah, a lot of people, you know, blame mice and rats and all of that. But guys, let me know if you think mice and rats did these next couple things. So Jordan, when he was 12 years old, went to go feed the animals because it was sort of off season and he's there with his family because, as I said, they've been there for generations helping the ranch.
Okay.
So Jordan wakes up super early one day and he says, if I go feed the animals, I have more time to play with my brothers and my friends and my cousins. So he says, yeah, I'm just going to go do that. And no one was really awake at the time.
Okay.
So this was just by his own volition. He's heading out to do this nice thing so he can have time with his family. So as he goes to feed the animals, he sort of gets the feed and he gets a bit closer to the animal pens and he hears this voice and it's his brother and his brother saying, hey Jordan, get away from there, come back. So he's like, okay, that's really strange, maybe, you know, my brother's already done it or whatever. So he sort of turned around and headed back. And his brother met him on the bridge, super out of breath, and said, Jordan, I heard you crying outside for me. Are you okay? What's going on? And he said, I wasn't calling for you. So they both heard each other and they didn't call for each other.
That's weird.
So Jordan sort of thinks this could be a coyote trickster spirit named Skilep. I hope I'm saying that correctly, from the shoe shop culture, warning him of danger. So he thinks it could have potentially been there was a mountain lion or something dangerous, a snake by the animals, and this thing was trying to get him away.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the fact that his brother heard something too.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So it's sort of calling both of them, so, you know, it sensed some danger and then sort of was protecting Jordan.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
I like that story.
Yes. Super cool to have something sort of mimic each other's voices and then sort of have them pulled away from danger. Sorry, I'm very thirsty. Okay, so this one is creepy. Okay, this one includes Rob and Jordan.
Okay.
And a coworker.
Okay.
So one day, Rob was upstairs and sort of out of the corner of his eye, he sees Jordan sort of come out of the little girl's room that was upstairs, which is gated off, as we know. So, but he sort of is taken aback because it's Jordan, but it's not Jordan. Because this Jordan was Caucasian.
Okay.
So, Jordan is indigenous. And so Rob says that this person was basically Jordan's identical person, but was Caucasian.
Huh.
So he was sort of taken aback. He's sitting there like, what the heck? And as he's sort of coming into this, like, what just happened? Because that thing just walked through a gate. It didn't open a gate.
Oh, it like phased
It
right
just
through
went
it.
through the gate.
That's
So-
odd.
Super strange. And at this exact same moment, one of their coworkers is downstairs and they go to open the staff room, which is locked. And she calls inside, hey, did you lock it? And Jordan's inside. He says he remembers the exact moment he's eating a yogurt
Okay.
when it happens. Jordan says, no, I didn't lock this door. And he's like, oh, maybe, you know, it's a weird lock. It sort of just like folds over when you lock the door. There's like a little latch. So he says, oh, maybe it fell when I closed the door. So he walked over and it was unlocked. And so he's trying to turn the knob and it won't budge.
But it's unlocked.
But it's unlocked. And the lady outside is trying to move the doorknob and it won't budge. So she calls for Rob. Rob, come on down. Like, we need help. Jordan's stuck in in the staff room.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob comes up, turns the doorknob, and opens the door.
Now that's just strange.
Very strange for Rob to see a doppelganger of what Jordan would look like, and then Jordan be stuck downstairs in the staff room.
Very weird.
Very
what
strange.
a weird set of circumstances. Something strange is always going on over there, it seems like.
Seems very active.
Very active.
You know, other than that, you know, there's common things like footsteps, voices, whistling, doors opening, and items moving.
Right.
So, the classics. Still not unscary.
Very peculiar.
Very peculiar.
Mm-hmm.
So now to get into sort of a super secret discussion is that we sort of had a ghost hunt there.
Yes.
So we were offered a nighttime tour.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, sweet, nighttime tour. That sounds great. We love paranormal things. We are scared of it.
Yeah.
So hearing nighttime tour, we're like, okay, cool. When people aren't around, we're going to walk around and see it in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
Rob shows up and he's like, okay, let's get ready to ghost hunt. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was more than we were expecting, certainly. But
Yeah.
it was a very cool experience. Rob
was
let
very
us
cool.
into the roadhouse after hours. We
Yeah.
were able to just spend some time uninterrupted, wandering around, checking
Yeah.
things out.
It was super cool. There's no lights in there, so, well, there's lights, but we had them all turned off, so we sort of were guided by flashlights, and it felt sort of like a found footage horror film. So yeah, we were upstairs for quite a while and went in and out of the rooms. Nothing really happened. And then we went downstairs, sort of explored downstairs, and sort of nothing was going on there either. And then we went to the granary room.
So the granary is a building that is not open to the public, but because we had VIP access, we were allowed in, and it was definitely a strange feeling being in there. Not just like you're in a weird house in the middle of the night in an unfamiliar area.
It was off.
Yeah.
You get in there and it's off.
The second that I entered in, I felt this like heaviness on my chest. It wasn't like I was really short of breath or anything,
Like
but
almost
it just
heart racing.
yeah, and just like tightness and heaviness of the chest. It's hard to explain why that would have happened.
Yeah.
As soon as I set foot in, and it stopped the second I
Left.
left.
Super strange. And so the heaviness is sort of coming from what Rob believes. It's not a fact, but this is what is ascertained happened.
Some people believe that a Chinese cook was lynched in the granary for a crime that he did not commit, and
that's sort of what is believed to be this like heavy, oppressive energy that's in there.
Yeah.
So we're in the granary room, and there's a first floor. It's all kind of gravel on the floor, and then you have like these wooden stairs leading up to a second floor. If you can imagine that, it's very cramped. It's sort of like the air is stale. It's a bit humid in there, a bit muggy. So we're on the second floor, and we decide, okay, let's turn our flashlights out and just sort of listen. So that's what we do. And we hear footsteps outside. And we're like, okay, what the heck is that? So, like, literal footsteps outside in the gravel. And so Rob is like, okay, you girls stay here because we've looked around the granary room. There's nobody in there. So he's like, you girls stay in there, and if there's a bear, I'm going to come running back in.
yeah.
I'm going to close the door because I had seen some bears there. And that was our main concern was, an animal. So while Rob's outside, Steph hears like a male voice, like a deep voice.
Yeah, I heard what I believe to be Rob speaking to someone outside. From what I heard, I genuinely believed, like, oh, it was just like a guy outside. Rob's talking to him right now. No big deal. And we just waited for him to come back inside. And as Rob was coming back up the stairs, I said, oh, Rob, was there someone out there? And he said, No, there was no one out there. I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
And, like, truly, I cannot emphasize enough how real this voice sounded to me.
Yeah.
I, like, without a shadow of a doubt, thought it was Rob speaking to someone.
Yeah.
So to hear that he was not speaking at all really threw me for a loop.
Really, really strange. And so Rob's on the first floor now, and we're sort of on the stairs, sort of talking to him. And then we hear something heavy get dragged very quickly across the gravel towards the front door. And it was just sort of like, and we all pause and look at each other and we're like, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? And immediately I was like, in my heart, I was like, we gotta get out. We gotta leave. I'm done being here. This is freaky. I don't like it here.
My personal take is that was a rat.
No.
No.
No. No. A rat would not make that noise. That literally sounded like something dragged across the gravel.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree.
It was loud.
It was loud.
It was
I will give it
loud.
that.
And we were far back. Mm-hmm. So to hear something that loud from the front of the granary room was like, no. I was like, I'm out.
We head back to the roadhouse at this point.
And we're Rob's a bit on edge because we didn't see what made the footsteps outside. So we're still sort of thinking, could be a bear. So we're kind of, one person's walking backwards, two people are walking forwards. As we're heading back, sort of looking for bears, there's a person who was staying there. I think his name was Brandon. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But super nice guy. He was just walking around outside, checking out the site, and he was the footsteps that we heard outside the granary room.
Yes. He had not been speaking. We asked him. He had not been speaking outside the granary. So I still don't know what the heck that voice was that I heard.
So we don't know what the voices were that Steph heard, and we do know what the footsteps were.
Yeah.
So that was sort of a mystery that was solved.
Yes.
So now we get into the roadhouse. It's getting sort of late. We've just been sort of standing around talking with Rob, talking about the history of the place and how we sort of got into paranormal stuff. And we're in the saloon. Actually, sorry. We're in the staff room. So we're standing around in the staff room, which is sort of on the left edge of the building. And I hear what sounds to be a voice saying, hey, for context, the roadhouse on the opposite side, the right-hand side, has a door. And we left that door open just so we can get in and out. We don't have to worry about locking it up.
But it was closed. It was unlocked.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, someone's just sort of wandered in here. I hear a voice. So we go towards it and there's no one there. So now we're standing in the saloon. And yeah, again, just sort of talking, yapping about. And we hear footsteps. Clear as day, boots on this wooden floor in the cowboy bathroom of the saloon.
It's just a small adjacent room.
Small adjacent room, like, and you could hear it. It was sort of like, you can tell, like the roadhouse creaks, the roadhouse moves in the wind, and it was, you know, you know what that sounds like, but you know what a boot sounds like when it hits that floor.
And we all stopped. All four of us stopped and noticed these footsteps at the exact same time. There's 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was like, so we all stopped. We're like, okay, what the heck? Mm-hmm. So Rob sort of walks over to investigate, and in front of the sort of cowboy room, bathroom that they have there, there's a rope that is sort of hooked in so, you know, people just don't wander in there. And as Rob's hand goes up to open the rope falls by itself. And we were like
just
whoa,
unhooked itself and swung down.
So where we
completely unprompted.
Yeah, where we just heard the 3 or 4 steps, rope just comes off the hook by itself. Very, very strange.
Very unexplainable. And at that point, we
left.
We had enough. Georgia and I are not ghost hunters. We've decided it didn't take much to spook us.
Yeah.
And we were out of there.
We did not like it. I think I actually said to Rob, I was like, not that was super spooky or anything, but we're going to go.
Yeah, we had enough.
We had enough. And what an experience.
Yeah, that was kind of our pseudo paranormal investigation. We got to traipse around a historic site at night, keeping an ear out for some weird things that went on, and it was more active than I anticipated.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And I think that night we had really summarizes what approach you should have when walking into something like a ghost hunt, where you're staying alert for things that are strange, kind of anomalies, but not getting too wrapped up in the idea of like, we heard a funny noise and so it must be a ghost or something. Yeah, we heard the crunching of the footsteps outside the granary, but we were able to debunk that later because we met someone outside.
Yeah, it was just a dude.
Yeah. So
it's important to like experience, well, if you're going to go on a ghost hunt or whatever, it's important to experience those things, but also try to debunk. Yeah. Because there's generally rational things that are like, oh, it's just a guy outside who was walking around.
Yeah. And if all of this is in the name of a pursuit of knowledge and understanding of the universe and life as we know it, it's just as useful to learn things in the positive as it is in the negative. To prove something and to disprove something provides us information, and that's something to really keep in mind with paranormal investigations and things of the like.
I would like to go back to Hat Creek just during the day. I want to explore more of the roadhouse. Not that I haven't explored every inch of it, but I want to just go with fresh eyes again and look around. And
it's got a really cool tidbit of British Columbia history there, like with the wagon road and the gold rush history there. It's really interesting, just as a historical place to see.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was such a great way to round out this season of the podcast by going somewhere on location, having such a cool experience.
Roadhouse road trip.
Yes, our roadhouse road trip.
and so you can kind of see why we sort of kept this one as the finale as well, because wow, what an interesting time that we had.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Thanks to the whole team at Historic Hat Creek Ranch. Definitely check it out if you're in the Cache Creek area. And that's I say is our podcast.
That's crazy. That's our podcast.
Yeah. So Georgia.
Yeah. So Seth.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I kind of believe in ghosts.
You do?
I don't know. I'm still sort of as I was in the very beginning. I'm still on the fence.
Okay.
I need something like ghost in front of me.
Like you need to
I need to see the ghost pull the thing across the gravel.
Right, you need to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steph?
Yes.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. We know this.
Yeah. But more than changing my mind on the spiritual realm or the existence of ghosts or not, I think learning the history of my hometown and my home region was such a joy for this podcast. I feel like that's really what I took the most out of.
Yeah.
Here. I feel so connected to the community right now, and that's such a great thing to glean from this project. So happy.
Yeah.
And that is our podcast. So for one last time, well, thank you for tuning in to Okanagan Legends and Hauntings. Visit your local museum, learn about your area, and keep your eyes peeled for anything you can't quite explain. Thank you again. This has been Okanagan Legends and Hauntings.
Bye.